2 points. Yeah, I mean, it's close to an IPA. Not quite. Not quite there. Yeah, I heard. Trusty Ape. Day 4 on the wagon. I'd like to do an episode of Call Me When I'm Sober now, like today or tomorrow, but couldn't get a fucking hot spot. So, yeah, just got back from group. I forgot to take in my damn paperwork that I need to get done. Hey, Silver Wolf. They had me take an extra dose of my medication today that I'm on right now. I'm supposed to be like only doing it like they said like at the very latest like through the weekend, but they were like while you're here going through this during like the first week or whatever, like that's to like help with the anxiety and tremors and stuff like that. But at the same time, it was like after I took that third dose, I went back in, I was feeling all like fucking zombified and shit. So yeah, I think I'm gonna try to keep that to a minimum. Okay, went to another AA meeting today and got my better late than never 24-hour chip on my 4th day. So, well, and we were talking about that earlier. I was like, well, when I came in, I mean, I was technically still like coming down a little bit off the, and also, had taken a little bit of the hair of the dog before I came in, but I was like mostly there anyway. And like the doctor said, like, sorry, he was like, well, yeah, technically you breathalyze dirty, but you're like here, you're cognizant, you're coherent, you're not, slurring and stumbling around. So they let me in. So like basically during the course of day 1, I was still kind of drying out a little bit, so I was basically completely sober by the time I left or somewhere in the middle of the day. So they're like, just go ahead and count that day. I was like, is it like 3.5 days? Is it 4 days? They're like, when did you get here? Were you drying out? Okay, just say it was 4 days. So, all right, we're going with 4 days. That's how long. Day 4. Day 4 of the treatment. Day 4 of sobriety, more or less. Sobriety from alcohol and and still on the nicotine. Curbing my weed habit. Probably had too much last night. Yeah, last night was another like ended up freaking smoking out, passing out early. I was supposed to take like an hour-long nap. I was like, I'll just nap from like 5 to 6 o'clock. And then I sneezed my alarm and I slept till 7. I was like, okay, now I got to try and get myself back to bed at a reasonable hour. So I was able to smoke myself to sleep by 11, which is cool. That's fine. That works for me. I'm like, that's a reasonable. Like, this is just this schedule. Like, once I go back to my work schedule, I'll be working until 11 o'clock and all that crazy shit again. But right now, I'm keeping like the 9 to 5 schedule and trying to work with that. So yeah, the IPNA not not quite as flavorful as I'd like, but it's still. I mean, it's all right. It's not bad. It's not bad. I think Heineken did it better. But when it comes to brewing, how can you they all do what they do. So tomorrow I have to turn in my little presentation here, and yeah, I had a hard time with it. Some people were writing like full-page essays on this, and I'm like, well, I can just do like I do on my podcast and write the bullet points and kind of like spell it out for them. But I still have to draw this fucking picture, which I don't know what to do with the picture of powerlessness or whatever. I don't even think that's fair. Like, I don't like the powerlessness idea. Maybe I should say that. I don't know. Anyway, so all right. The purpose of the exercise is to help you understand how your diseases affect you in your life. Blah 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 blah. All right. Be as honest and thorough as possible. History of alcohol and other drug use. At what age and under what circumstances did you begin drinking or using other drugs? As I told him in the AA meeting today, one reason I'm so skeptical about AA and other programs, I was about 11 or 12 years old. My mom started taking me to the NA and AA meetings that she was attending and basically making me go. She was like, this is what you're going to become if you ever use drugs or alcohol. And I just thought it was all bullshit. And yeah, I sat there, I learned the steps in the program and went through the meetings for a while. But by age 12, I tried tobacco, I tried weed, and generally the people that I was getting it from were people that me and my mom met through the AA and NA meetings. It was either the other kids and their parents. Um, Around that same time, I did have my first beer. As like I'd had alcohol before, but this was like when I was like deciding to drink and actually drinking to get a buzz. So I was about 12 years old, and it was entirely through people we met through the AA and NA program. I can say that with confidence. Those were the people who first exposed me to nicotine, weed, and alcohol. Okay, so you got that part down. At what period of your life did you begin planning and anticipating drinking and using other drugs? That one's a little more complicated. When I was about 10, 11, before I started smoking, even a couple years before that, I used to pretend I was smoking cigarettes. I thought cigarettes were disgusting, but I liked like watching actors smoke, and I always thought about like if I could have one of those, whatever. My thought. So I used to pretend to smoke, like with like a pencil or whatever it was, and I remember alcohol, but I took like a sip. I had made a mixed drink, which was absolutely disgusting. I remember I put in like Irish cream and whiskey and orange soda or something like that, just some weird shit. And I took a couple drinks out of it, and then I friggin' threw it out. And I tried huffing at that point. So between 10 and 11 years old, I was already kind of like looking that way. I was like, I don't know. Maybe these drugs and alcohol, they ain't so bad, right? And my mom was going to the meetings, and she started making me go to the meetings, even though she didn't know about my activities yet. Mikey, good to see you. Mikey Stu's Forest here. Yes, I'm reading through my little thing here and trying to figure out how I'm going to explain it tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I was exposed to drugs at a pretty young age, but I didn't really know what was going on, and I didn't really have any like censorship. I could pretty much watch whatever I wanted on TV. So, um, so yeah, around 10, 11 years old, I started thinking about it, and 11 to 12, I started doing it. When did you first realize that drinking and using other drugs was becoming a problem? Question mark, question mark, question mark for me, because I'm like, when did I realize it was becoming a problem, or when did so yeah, probably around the time that I became homeless and lost contact with my kids, got involved with the court system. But at that point, I identified it with one particular substance, which was meth. And, I was like, well, I don't have a problem with anything else. Although the court did have a problem with me smoking weed and being very honest and vocal about it, because I had a medicinal recommendation at the time, although it wasn't fully legal yet. But I was like, hey, I've got a medical recommendation. And the judge was like, well, we don't care about your medical recommendation. If you want custody of your kids, you need to stop smoking marijuana. And marijuana is the least of my problems, what I'm always thinking. Um, but yeah, around that time when we were like homeless for a while and losing the kids, I was like, yeah, we really got to stop doing it. And, but everything else was like, whatever, it's whatever. Thank you, Mikey. Thank you. Appreciate the love and support and prayers. Um, all right, and then section B is consequences. How has addiction affected your health? I can name a number of things, but primarily losing my teeth. I got bad teeth. They need to come out. They're rotten and broken and causing me pain. There's one. the issues with my lungs. I have issues breathing due to, smoking. Pretty much every substance that I like, I smoke, with the exception of alcohol, because you got to drink it. If I could find a way to smoke alcohol, I probably would. But yeah, everything that I've done, I've preferred to smoke it. So yeah, bad lung issues, stomach issues from the drinking, primarily, and dun, 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 hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids. Yeah, I got those from the meth. Yeah, and they kind of tend to stick around once you got them. How has addiction affected your family? Uh, they've been scared of me, angry with me, disappointed with me, distrustful of me. Even though I've never stolen from any of my family members as an adult, they still think that I'm going to steal from them because that's what addicts do. But I never did. Didn't have to worry about it. But sure felt like shit, with people wondering, how has addiction affected your social life? Social isolation, financial problems, which comes up in the next one, which caused me to not be able to go to events and do things that I'd like to do, and fights, unnecessary fights with friends caused by me not being able to express myself effectively, because I was intoxicated. It doesn't help when you and the other person are intoxicated and then you get into it because nobody's making sense and nothing gets resolved. Or you hug it out drunkenly, you forget about the problem, and then, again, it gets stuffed down, not resolved, but you just pretend that it never happened because, hey, we were both drunk. Okay, so that's been, a lot of my recent issues with some people. How has addiction affected your finances? And I put here, yeah, most of my money goes to substances, whether it be nicotine, whether it be weed, whether it be alcohol. Like most of my whatever spending money, what they call it, expendable income, goes to substances. Now, of course, I have to buy my food and gas for my car and stuff like that, but I always make sure that I have enough for a pack of cigarettes. And, generally, I mean, there have been times when I've had to go without, and it's been really, really difficult because I've had to choose something that's of a higher priority. But there have also been times when I didn't have that high priority thing and I had to get it from somebody else because I was irresponsible with my damn money. I also didn't put in, maybe down here, yeah. I've put myself in debt. I don't know if that's necessarily just because of addiction, but definitely contributes to it. I didn't have any debt to speak of when I left Sacramento a couple years ago. I just had a couple personal loans, and then I got in over my head with this lease down here, the office space. I'm still paying them off. I ended up taking out this predatory high interest loan that I'm still dealing with. I've gotten in with my bank. My credit's overextended with my bank. So yeah, just debt, debt, debt. I owe a bunch of people money. What, if any, legal problems have you had because of your addiction? Child custody proceedings, restraining order with my son's mom. Um, that's basically it. I did get arrested a couple times for drunk in public. Luckily, they just put me in the tank and dried me out, and no charges were pursued. So I didn't have any real repercussions from that. But hey, it's never fun to go to jail. Um, what psychological problems have you had due to addiction, PTSD, sexual dysfunction, anger problems, sleep disturbance? That's what I, put in there. Yep. List any other consequences you've suffered because of addiction. Losing my kids, cut off from family and friends, um, the debt and the issues with my vehicle, right? Issues with vehicle ongoing, which is like a lot of money I could have put into maintaining my car and getting necessary repairs done that I've spent on other bullshit. Right. Right. Okay, there we go. That's honest, right? I mean, have you tried to stop using alcohol and other drugs before? If the answer is yes, what's different this time? Now, on this one, I feel like it's really hard to not just give them the answer they want to hear, but at the same time, it's again kind of honest because I now realize that I can't beat this disease on my own, and I need my support structure to maintain sobriety. not like I didn't have support before, and everybody here has been supporting me, and my family's been supportive, and say sometimes you just need to be in an environment with a bunch of other people who are trying to get sober and struggling with it to like really like I don't know. So that's where I'm stuck at right now. And I got stuck when I was leaving class. It was like, all these people are making like connections and they're gonna have like friendships after they leave the groups and stuff like that, and they're exchanging numbers. We're all supposed to exchange numbers, and I'm supposed to be calling these people when I have like cravings and stuff like that. And it's like, okay. And I just like I don't feel like I've really made any deep connections, and I feel like part of that is my fault. And like it's not just this group, like it extends to other areas of my social life. And it reminded me so much of like being that guy in the club. And when I'm out at bars, like even if I'm performing, sometimes my friends will go off and I'll be there at the bar drinking by myself, and I'm watching other people and they're yucking it up and they're having a good time, and it just sounds like chatter to me. And in some ways, I really wish I could just get out of the situation. In other ways, I really wish I could be more involved in that group and finding out what's going on and exchanging in the gossip or whatever's going on. And I'm just not there. I don't know how to insert myself into that. And I'll just walk up to a group if I'm feeling a little bit ballsy and just stand on the sidelines, which is really awkward because then you're just like this third wheel standing here. Everybody's talking and they look at you and you have no input, where you say something, but it's completely out of left field. As like they're not getting it. Um, so yeah, I've got like a socially awkward thing where I don't know, engage appropriately. I don't. So it was like, and my ex used to tell me. She said that like when she would see me out, like before we were dating, I'd be like, I was like, well, why didn't you ever like approach me before? And she said, you're not very approachable. Like when you're out in public, you kind of look like you want to be left alone. And I'm like, well, I don't feel like I present myself that way, but that's the way people perceive me for some reason. Like, and I don't know if it's my body language or whatever, but that's like, I don't know. That's, and I'm trying to like figure out how to break away from that. And yeah, I mean, because there's cool people in there, and they've kind of tried to talk to me, and I just don't know how to warm up the conversation. And I'm trying to stay focused because it's kind of like an educational setting, and we're supposed to be focused on the curriculum and stuff too. So it's like hard to know when it's appropriate to like engage in those types of interactions. So yeah, I just sat there for a minute, and one guy, he's been cool. He's just next to me and pretty much every day. Actually, yeah, every day since I've been there, we kind of had the same group on the whatever the one wall, and those guys talked to me, and so he stayed after. He kind of saw me, uh, glumly sitting there after group let out, and I was like, yeah, I'm just waiting to get the new contact list, and well, somebody took off with it, but you're like, let's exchange numbers now. So we did that, and maybe somebody cool to talk to. Um, I don't know. I also feel weird about like calling people to be like, because we're all in the same boat. Like first week or two of getting off whatever we're on, and then to call another person who's having like cravings and be like, hey, I'm having cravings, and it's like, yeah, me too. And then like you gotta like shift conversation from there, distract each other, right? Like don't talk about how much you want to drink or whatever, and try to talk about something else. And like yeah, I don't know. It just feels like an awkward type of call to make in that situation, but that's what I'm supposed to do. And I guess you just do it. Nike, Nike it. Comments. We have comments. Mikey Susfor says, "Remember to trust yourself, and in the process, believe that your recovery will make you feel more alive, and find trustworthy persons who sincerely care about your well-being." Um, yeah, I mean, I get a bit of that. I mean, I do get the impression, even though it's like a judgment-free space, nobody has said anything to me, but certain people, when they look at me, I think they're looking at me like I'm not gonna make it. Like I'm gonna end up, relapsing, which I feel, but it's like most people are really encouraging. But it's like the way they look at me that I feel like they're maybe keeping their distance because they feel like I'm the dude who's gonna like, just fly off the handle, and they don't want to be there for that because that might mess with their program, which I get that, like, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna stick it out. I'm here, so the yeah. Um, thank you for believing in me. It's like one day at a time. Every day is, I don't know. It gets a little easier in some ways. In some ways, it gets a little more difficult. I still, of course, you always have that feeling like, oh, I'm cured now. Now I can go back to whatever I was doing. It's like, nope, nope. That's that thing talking to you. You don't want to listen to that thing that's telling you can just go back and start doing your whatever your normie thing is. Um, I like to think that maybe someday down the road, I will be able to be like a normal, functional, social whatever like I used to be. But like right now is not that time. Like right now is the time when I'm intentionally putting that gap in there where it's like, nope, you've gone out of control and now you need to regain control. Um, Eighth Day Independent Fundamental Baptist Evangelist, welcome. And hey, Sandy, good to see you. There's something before that. Oh, the greetings. Greetings and salutations. What's up? Is Tobin there? Oh, my comments just went AWire. Hello, Tobin. Eighth Day Independent Fundamental Baptist Evangelist says people will always think things. Be the best you and don't be too tough on yourself. Managed 15 years clean. Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah, this has been surprisingly difficult. Like, and that's what I think. Like, the old me would never have just wanted to go out and get beer for the hell of it, right? The old me would have been like, oh, if I'm getting beer tonight, it's for this particular occasion, or I'm hanging out with this particular person, or maybe this particular person brings the beer over and then we drink because I didn't, I'm not the one going out and buying the booze. It's like cocaine. That's why I'm such a great Coke user. And I hate to say it because it sounds terrible. I'm like, I hardly ever use Coke, and when I use Coke, it's somebody else's Coke. I don't go and spend money on Coke. I don't go looking for Coke. Like, one of my friends comes by and has some Coke and we do some Coke, it's like it's all good. And then like I have a few beers and I go to sleep and I don't wake up wanting to do Coke in the morning. It's like I don't have that problem with cocaine. But I could probably, if I used it habitually for a while, I'd probably end up with that problem, right? I guess it's what you choose to do routinely. And maybe when you start, you don't like realize that you're choosing to do it routinely. It's just like this insidious thing. Oh yeah, so we got the IPNA, which is, I've said that a few times already. Let's see, what does this one say? Yeah, this one says less than 0.5, which is what the O'Doul says as well. Now, the Heineken claims to be actual zero, but then I saw some like articles and different things saying that they got sued and somebody wanted them to change their label, but they haven't changed their label. So I'm guessing that means it's actual zero or close enough to zero that they don't have to say 0.5 like these guys. I don't know how that works. All I know is the doctor said even if it is 0.5, like 3 of these isn't even close to a regular IPA. So not gonna get me drunk. I'd have to drink a shitload of these to maybe get me a buzz, and by then my stomach would just be so. Basically, just drinking it for the taste of beer, which I enjoy. I've grown to enjoy the taste of beer. Or maybe I'm just psyching myself up. I don't know. Mikey says, I've been clean and sober for 8 years, thanks to God, my wife, Suzanne, and my mom and dad. All right, congratulations. Yeah, my dad's been, I told my dad on Tuesday, called him on Tuesday to let him know it was up. And I think he called me and I called him back. And then he called me again today, kind of just to give me an attaboy. Like, I was surprised. He just like called to tell me he was proud of me, and that was really cool. Like, I don't know, like he'll say that to me sometimes, and I feel like he's like blowing smoke or like just what I mean. But like today, I really felt it. So yeah, that was cool. Um, when I got the call, I was in group, and I was about to leave group, and my counselor was like, "Why don't you just go sit back down and wait?" I was like, "My dad never calls me in the middle of the day while he's at work. Like I'm thinking something's wrong with my kid." So I was a little aggravated. I was a little stressed out. But then once I got out there and I called him back, I was like, "Oh, that was cool. That was cool." He just like called me to let me know that he loved me and he was proud. And yeah. Tobin, you haven't had any alcohol for over 12 years by your own will? Congratulations. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I take what I need from the AA program, and I like a lot of people there. Actually, the guy who was chairing the meeting today, he was the only person with over a year, and so when there were no other sponsors available, he was like, "Well, if anybody needs one, I guess I'm available." He didn't look, too ecstatic about it, but he did put that out there. But I was like, that's the guy I want. The guy who's not like, "Here, let me be your sponsor," grabbing up on you and trying to bend your ear about everything. He just seemed like the type of dude that you could call and have a normal ass conversation with. What's up, Christian Carpenter? Good to see you. Oh, it's been 14 years, even better. I was like, well, if I'm gonna have an AA sponsor, I'd rather have somebody like that guy. So I thought about it, but I didn't ask him. Um, but yeah, I mean, I like I was saying on the last stream, I think, or whenever I said it, like the program that I'm in, for the most part, like they don't require us to go to AA and AA meetings, but they encourage it. And there happen to be meetings that coincide that are like within walking distance from the center. But our meetings, our groups that we go to throughout the day, are secular. They're science based. They're medicine based. So so we don't do all the praying, and God rarely comes up. Usually, it's one of the group members that brings it up rather than the actual counselors and stuff. So it's easy to kind of like just ignore that part. Um, and then I've been back in the smart recovery meetings. I did one yesterday. I'll probably do one tonight if there's one available. There should be. Those are good because they have a totally different program that's also like science and medicine based, and has a lot to do with. So they have like I have to get the handbook, but they have these like various kind of methods for breaking down certain situations, and identifying like what your triggers are and how you react to certain situations, and then how to um, kind of do like change your behavior consciously. It's not like you're not tricking yourself into anything. You're saying, oh, this is why I do this behavior. I'd rather not do this behavior, so I'm going to take these steps and make. I'm not explaining this very well, but it's yeah, I think cognitive behavioral something or other. There's like a word for it. Oh, alcohol, you don't see why it's so popular. Yeah, it makes a lot of people feel like shit afterwards. It's the nobody likes the hangover. um and I used to be that way, like I didn't like to drink to excess. I didn't like to drink to where it made me sleepy because I have pot for that. See, I always had my fail safe. I think it's kind of good that I was a weed smoker first, but no, like, and they want me to quit smoking weed too, and I'm trying to get to this whole total sobriety thing, and it's just like baby steps weaning down. Like I've been smoking a lot more cigarettes, I think, or maybe not. That's hard to keep track of these days. Um, I feel like I've been smoking more cigarettes, or I should be able to like cut down on the cigarettes, but it's like one thing at a time, like trying to taper off everything. I don't know. I feel like if I was gonna do that, I would have to go into complete isolation. Like the group thing wouldn't work. That's why I've always thought if I was gonna dry out, the best way would be like to go out into the woods and then just like I don't know, like chop firewood for like 5 days, or something like that, and just be out there on my own, so I could just rage out, and there's nobody there to be hurt or offended or whatever, like that's the only way it's gonna happen. But I don't know. I don't know if that's realistic. Um, okay. Mikey says, I did my sobriety by trusting myself, then doing for Suzanne and family. And thank you for the continual love and loving support and prayers. Tobin says, behaviors are linked to feelings and thoughts. Yes, absolutely. And our perception, right? Like, and yeah, that's what, when we were talking about the Marcus Aurelius thing, and he's like, the way the thing, I wish I had the quote in front of me, but when a thing injures you, it's, you have to ask yourself, how have I been injured? Or is it just like my perception of the thing that is the injury? Because you can change your feelings about that thing and say that no, it can't injure me. And by that we're talking about like being like offended by somebody's actions or the way that they speak to you or something like that, right? And it's the way you behave in reaction to that person, and the way you perceive how they have treated you. Like I think this guy's treating me like shit. He's an asshole. Or I'd say, hey, this guy's got a bit of an attitude problem. Maybe I should find out what's going on with him, right? Maybe he's not just an asshole. Maybe there's something up with him, that I could potentially assist with or something, Um, it's pretty simple when you think about it, but it's not so easy in practice. Not so easy at all. The hangover usually requires more alcohol. That's what most folks don't understand about the addiction cycle, right? Which is kind of how I ended up in the boat I ended up in, right? Because I would drink to excess the night before, knowing that I had obligations in the morning. And when I wake up in the morning feeling like total shit, be like, how do I solve this? Okay, well I've got my energy drink, but my energy drink doesn't solve the hangover problem. Um, yeah, I probably could take some aspirin or something, but that's maybe. But what really works is if you have, my recipe was a hard lemonade and the Rockstar, and then I just pound them both. That made me feel a lot better after a hangover. But then you kind of got to keep it going. You can moderate a little bit, but throughout the day you're like, you know what? I should probably have another beer. And then, so yeah, I mean, I was doing that for a while. Wake up in the morning, Rockstar and a hard lemonade, and then I get a few IPAs. Wait till around 10, maybe 11. Maybe I'd make it till lunch, but not usually. Usually you'd have to have at least another beer before lunch, then another two with lunch. Then you can make it, into the afternoon, cruising along, have another beer around 3, maybe, finish out your shift. And I'm talking about working a day shift now. This is just one particular situation, right? But different variations on this. It's just all convincing yourself that you can drink all day and be fine because better than having a hangover. Smoking is harder to stop. One of my sisters can't beat her habit yet. avoiding hard drugs and alcohol takes constant work and belief in oneself. Yes, Mikey. And smoking, yeah, smoking, I've definitely one of the worst. Nicotine, in the tobacco industry in general. I mean, it's just the way they do it. I don't know how they do it, but I think they said it like back in the day. They want to make like the most addictive product on the market, and they succeeded. And we still have them today for some reason, even though we know that they did that. We're like, well, they're just can't take their cigarettes now. They're all freaking addicted. Um, what line of thought these? Tobin says I'm reminding him of a line of thought, but I wonder which we mean. Well, thank you, Mikey. I mean, yeah, still, I don't know. I'm trying to. One of the counselors did kind of um, talk about that today, talking about actually, the counselor talked about it, and that AA meeting guy was talking about God or a higher power, and he was like, well, technically, a higher power can be like any group or entity that is bigger than yourself. So technically, like the sobriety group could be your higher power theoretically, because it's a collective rather than just the individual. As long as you have the collective or the entity, he's like, well, I mean, the city could be your higher power, and you could devote yourself to the city, because the city is a group of entities that all like amalgamate, and they're one giant entity that is greater than you. Like the city will make decisions that affect you that you have no control over. That's a higher power. And the same goes to the state or to the country. Like those are all higher powers because they are collectives of entities that are greater than you and actually exercise authority over you. And so, whatever, if you don't want to believe in God, be like, well, my higher power is the city, and I don't know how that works in this sobriety mindset, but you're just like anything that's bigger than you, just think about that and be like, okay, I'm not in control of all these things. Some higher power, some higher collection of entities is in control of all these things. Alcohol addiction almost killed me. Emergency, dehydration, no sleep, 4 days. Cigarettes, big deal. Yeah, well, I mean, cigarettes is a long-term killer, right? Alcohol will kill you more in the short term, especially the more you do it. Cigarettes, like you can really only smoke so much, and you're just going to start having the emphysema cough, which is what I have, right? Which basically you can't smoke no more. Like you want a cigarette, but you can't actually inhale every time you do. You're coughing. I have those moments. But yeah, I mean, before you die of cancer, you're more likely to inflame yourself until you're, well, you could be hospitalized for fluid in the lungs, but it's very unlikely. They've never really taken mine seriously. They've always been like, well, just quit smoking. Here's an asthma inhaler. I'm like, okay. But they always tell me my lungs are fine. Tobin says, if a person in a crowded place bumped into you, did they do it intentionally or was it an accident? And it could be either. You would have to know the person's intentions, I guess, or I could see if there was like some kind of follow up to that. Because usually, if I bump into somebody, I'll be like, "Oh, my bad, I'm sorry," or "Excuse me, didn't see you there," something, like that. But you'll get the other guy who bumps into you and then just look where you're going or something like that, and then it's obvious, they're looking for it, right? But you really don't know their intentions to begin with. And even the guy who has the reaction of look where you're going, might have not realized that they were at fault and assumed that you were at fault for some reason. And so then they're not really challenging you, they're confused, right? So I don't know, it depends on how you interpret that situation. Because you're in a crowded place, it's more likely that one person would bump into another, right? I mean, there's less room for everybody to move. um, and in my experience, most people don't become more self-conscious in the crowd. They become more assertive, which I think is really weird. Like people on the sidewalk, like they will play chicken with you as if like, okay, if either of us just took it, if I took one step to the right and you took one step to the left, we would just, cross paths. But they maintain a, a stable course towards you, and you're looking at them and you're going, are they gonna left step? Am I gonna right step? How's this gonna work out? Because right now you're gonna walk directly into me, right? And you're looking right at me. My trajectory hasn't changed. Um, and then you always like wonder, well, who has the onus to move? Or if nobody moves, what happens? Well, then you bump into each other. Who's at fault? I don't know. I don't know. I tend to take the route of I will wait it out. I will wait it out for the last second. If they don't sidestep, I will sidestep them. But I will pass very, very closely, which I'll do in a car too. Which is not recommended, but it is a little dangerous. But it tends to make a little bit more of a point, I think, to somebody, like than if I were to just like walk all the way around them, which I will also do. But if I think a person's being like rude or aggressive, then I will go like right by them. And sometimes it gets a reaction. That's when you get the side eye. They're like, this guy is like really close to me. Watch where you're going, buddy. Eighth Day says, I could not handle any caffeine while addicted to alcohol. I'd fall apart. Shakes. Oh, yeah. So I say I've been pretty well managed. Like, I've been able to hide it. I've been able to curb my drinking enough for the most part to where it didn't I didn't get called out at work for a long time. Um, some of my family members kind of saw it early on, but most of them didn't. Um, I was able to avoid getting shakes too bad. I was, able to maintain a lot of things. So I was a good alcoholic in that, in a way. I didn't end up hospitalized. I did get a couple of cases of alcohol poisoning, um, but they were relatively minor. Like 2 to 3 days of sickness, and then I was, just bedridden, and I got back up. But yeah, I mean, I've heard stories of people, and it makes me think, oh well, I'm not that bad, like this guy ended up in the hospital, and this guy got a DUI, and I avoided all those things. And I was kind of saying that in the meeting today. I was like, man, I must be really, really good at this, because I've been drinking and driving and all this shit, and no accidents. Oh, well, I had accidents, but the accidents were just me. They didn't involve other cars. They didn't involve pedestrians. None of that shit. Well, I did hit that mailbox. I did mow down somebody's mailbox in Napa, and then I almost freaking launched myself off of a cliff. Yeah, but other than that, I'm like, well, I got away with it. But that's not really a good reason to like keep drinking. It's like, oh, yeah, maybe you should check out that shit you did and stop fucking drinking. Like, so you should stop. Yeah, that. Mikey says, independent. Oh, he's talking to Eighth Day. In my journey, I went straight from alcohol to diet sodas. That was a funky transition. Oh, Mikey. Oh, I can't. I don't know. I can't drink diet sodas. I'll just say I tried a while ago when Matt Dillahunty started promoting them. I tried the Coke Zero and could not do it. Could not do it. I was like, oh, this one's supposed to. No, I can't do diet sodas. If anything, I don't know. I thought about, and they mentioned this in another one of our groups. I was thinking about like switching to kombucha, which is like, but yeah, it's kind of like a slippery slope there because it still kind of has alcohol and it still kind of gives you a buzz, even though it's like, yeah. So it's like not looking for the buzz is the idea, but you're so used to the buzz. Like right now, I'm like still trying to not smoke any pot. I know I'm probably gonna end up smoking pot, but the longer I wait it out, like the less, I don't know. whatever. They gave me another urine test. I don't get the results of them. See, that's what I like to see. I like to be like, all right, I know what you're not going to see in there. What I want to know is, has this made a dent in my weed urine analysis? You know, like is it going down? Because I know I'm smoking less. Uh, does it make a difference? So yeah, but they haven't actually told me. They said I did shortly after two. Diet Coke, no joke. I rarely drink it now though. Oh yeah, gotta save them teeth. Um, yeah, as I said, mine are bad. Tobin he says you could be a part Yoism, where God, also known as Yo. Yo is all the unknowns and wants you to seek with the scientific method. Okay, okay, got it. Bump, I get bumped. I have not enough time to tell if they meant it or not. Yeah, means it, and it's fine. That's why I love rock and roll. Like, get used to that shit in those types of crowds, but you don't sense malice most of the time. Now, occasionally you will get that guy or that group of people and sense a bit of malice. And usually, if you're in the right crowd, those people will probably quickly get extricated from the venue, hopefully. Or you'll get like that great video I saw on Instagram where the dude's like throwing kicks in the mosh pit and he kicks like three people. He kicks the third guy in the face and he turns around, kick somebody else, and the dude just comes up behind him, jumps on his back, and he freaking no. He grabbed him up by his core, from like under his arms, and just fucking flung him and body slammed him right on the ground. Just tossed him on the ground. The dude was like, whoop, okay, I'll stop. But he had to kick like three people in the face, and then the last guy was like, "Oh hell no!" Shoot, just threw him on the floor like he was a doll. I thought it was the most amazing thing. Alcohol poisoning is dangerous and terrifying. Yeah, I wanted to go to the hospital. I will say, it was, yeah, I couldn't hold anything down. I was fully dehydrated. I couldn't even hold water down. I felt like I was gonna die, but I also felt stupid for wanting to go to the hospital for alcohol poisoning. I don't know. Yeah, it was an emergency. Yeah, that is tough. Yeah, kombucha tea is. I mean, it's good, but again, not getting into the habit of it, I guess, is what they're trying to emphasize. Like trading one habit for another, where it's like ritual. So not to like expect that buzz all the time. I don't know. I don't know. I still see it as like a lesser of two evils for sure. Yeah, that does suck. Eighth day. Yeah, brutal takedown. Damn. See, that's where I don't want to end up. I mean, as much as like alcohol poisoning is a concern and stuff like that. Um, yeah, mostly. I mean, for me, it's I've got to fight for my kid, and I don't have a leg to stand on if I'm drinking, because that was like the main concern when I went in there. They were like, "I don't care about whatever else you're doing, as long as you're not drinking," because according to me, and this is my story at court, yeah, the whole reason I end up in jail in the situation I was because I got blacked out drunk, and it doesn't matter how that happened. The fact of the matter is I got blacked out drunk. I did something that landed me in jail and in court. That they're like, okay, are you going to stop the drinking? Because that's their main concern, and then we could kind of move ahead. Okay, and that's been over a year ago, so I'm a little bit behind on that one. Okay, so if I'm gonna have anything to do with my kid and try to actually get some shit going, okay, no drinking. I got to be able to go in there and say I've been sober for some period of time and working a program and, have it show. All right, cool. The other issue is my job. My job, has been really cool with me. I don't even think they really mind me being a functioning alcoholic to some extent, right? But hey, I've showed up to work hungover. I've fucking had drinks on my lunch break, or I've pounded a freaking lemonade and a rock star before going in. All that shit is unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Show up sober, work sober, party when you get home. If you're going to party, party when you get home. Don't do it at work. Don't do it before work. That's not okay, right? And so we've managed to get by on that so far, but it will only that ship will only sail so far, and then they're going to be like, nope. Um, and I know that day is coming, so I might as well get in front of that. And drinking and driving, hey, because everybody who drinks and drives thinks they're a better driver when they're drinking. No, the fact that I haven't killed myself or anybody else, haven't gotten a DUI or what have you, chalk it up to whatever you want. It's fucking divine intervention or dumb luck, or maybe I do have some skill, but that's only gonna fucking take me so far, right? Eventually, I'm gonna crash and burn, lose my car, lose my license, maybe lose my life. And I've been gambling on that for a while, like, and that sucks. I used to be like a designated driver. It'd be like, fucking telling everybody, don't drink and drive. Fucking, oh, I'll make 2 trips if I have to, get everybody home safely, but don't do that. And now I'm doing that. Not now, but I have been. Yeah, for sure. I've been driving when I should not have been driving. And just fortunate that it didn't turn out really, really bad. So yeah, all those things in mind and for my health. And just to be a better person in general, to be more clear headed when I'm having conversations with people on the internet. Because, like I try to schedule like, serious discussions and serious debates. It's like, go into one of those and start pounding beers, and yeah, you're going to lose your cognitive function. You're going to start fucking getting sloppy and forgetting your points and forgetting shit that you should have remembered. And it's all because you couldn't wait to drink until after the fucking debate. It's stupid. Now, I mean, in that instance, you might have one to loosen up, one or two maybe, if you can maintain on that level, right? If you can't maintain on that level, if there's any question, then just don't do it. Just don't do it, right? Yeah, Sandy, it's fucking dumb luck, and I know it will run out. I mean, I know it will. Yeah, counselor always said when you had an excuse, what's the real problem? Alcohol. Yeah, and that's what they keep telling me. The more times a person takes the chance, the more of an opportunity that it can happen. I'm sorry, you just lost your friend Tobin, hit by a drunk driver on a motorcycle. Yeah, that's shitty. I had another friend of mine years ago, and I haven't seen him in a long time, but he he had gotten into a car accident when he was younger, and he had been the passenger, but the driver of the vehicle was drunk, wrecked the car, and he ended up, I don't remember exactly what happened. I think he got ejected from the vehicle, but the result of the accident from his friend driving drunk and him being in the passenger seat was he ended up with a head injury and serious head injury. So he had a brain injury, and so we would drink with him, and he would regularly try to drink and drive, and we would always have to take his keys from him. And then there were a couple instances. One instance I know for sure, where the cops, like, they knew him and they felt bad for him. So when they would catch him drinking and driving, they would just take his keys and drive him home, and then tell his mom where the car was or whatever. So it's like crazy that that happened several times in the time we knew him, but we always used there were a couple times when we had to actually wrestle him down and take his keys from him because he was trying to go out the door, and we were like, "No, sir, no, sir." Um, and sometimes I kind of feel like that guy, except there's nobody wrestling me down and taking my keys from me. I'm like, "Are you going to drive? Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And then I walk out. I get in the car, and am I? Yeah, just lucky, just lucky, I guess. Hello, captive desk. What is good? Um, so yeah, I don't know where else to go with that. Where are we gonna go from here? I have another group tomorrow, and then Saturdays virtual. I guess we have like a friends and family session on Saturday. But the person who attends with you has to be like in the room with you. So I don't know. I was thinking about bringing my mom, which means I'd have to go to her place. Um, but I don't know. I don't even know if I want to do that right now. I'll still be able to do it next Saturday if I don't do it this Saturday. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little on the fence about it. And then Sunday we have off, but I still have to go to a meeting. They pretty much expect us to attend a meeting every day. Um, it's like a minimum of 10 meetings in 15 days. This one chick who graduated today, I guess you get a gold star, an actual gold star, if you if you attend the 20 meetings in 15 days. Okay, above and beyond, I guess. Just hit 200 subs. Congratulations. That's awesome. I'd say my mom is supportive, but she's also like a little bit a little extra. Like I I don't know how to. She definitely wanted me to quit drinking. But I also think, she's like one of those people who didn't realize that I was having the problem, and then by the time she realized that I was having the problem, she went like so far to the other extreme. Like she called me a wet brain one day. She was like, "You're a wet brain alcoholic," and I was like, I was getting ready to go to work or something. Like I was like, um, I'm a state licensed professional, first of all, and then I started going into all these things. I was like, I may be a fucking drunk, but a wet brain, like that's like, and yeah, I don't know, a little extra, yeah, that's what I'd say. I don't know, yeah, she definitely stresses me out a lot, so I don't know. That's why I'm on the fence about it. And I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. She creates a stress reaction and weight on the family thing. Yeah, yeah. I haven't even talked to her since I told her I was going into the program, and she started sending me all this stuff, and I just told her I couldn't. I wasn't feeling it, and I put notifications on silent, and I haven't heard from her since. But so I haven't talked to her since I've been in, which I probably should make that call just to check in. Doubting Thomas. No, yeah, that's I know. It's one day at a time. You're definitely not being a dick there. That's all I can do is one day at a time. If I try to do it any faster, no. Moms are great for giving their sons a little extra kick in the ass that helps them along. Um, yeah, my mom's been, I don't know, a little inconsistent on that over the years, but she's definitely trying now. So give credit where credit's due. And I don't know what's going on with this thing. I fucked up by on the comment. Thank you. Yeah, just today. Exactly. And thank you, Dave. Trying hard. And it's a new struggle every day, but it's a new adventure every day too. And I know things will turn out better for it. Like it's a kind of a one direction type of deal. Like if I keep going the direction I'm going, it's you know it's a pretty predictable outcome. But if I change it up now, hey, almost anything could happen. So try to stay positive, and this is where I'll kick myself in the ass and say I have homework to do and probably another meeting to attend. So and thank you, Mikey. I love y'all too. Much love to everyone. Doubting Thomas, Mikey, Christian Carpenter, Tobin, Sandy, Silver Wolf, Captive Desk. I think I'm getting everybody. Am I getting everybody? Well, if I missed anybody, Tobin, of course, Sandy. If I already said your name, sorry, I'll say it again. I love y'all too. And I got some of the best friends I could have on here. Eighth Day. Um, I'm gonna keep pushing. I keep pushing, and I'm gonna check in tomorrow. That's all I can do every day. All right. Much love. Be well. Be kind. Stay trusty. And we'll see you again soon.